Model railroading is often called the world's greatest hobby. But why is that? Today we're going to go over some of the reasons why model railroading is the world's greatest hobby on Coffee and Trains. Welcome everybody to another edition of Coffee and Trains. Before we begin, I am drinking some Dunkin' Donuts coffee today. Decided to go with something a little bit different than what I normally do. And as always, I take it black with 2 sugars. So as I said, a lot of people call model railroading the world's greatest hobby. It is certainly one of the world's oldest modern hobbies in existence. But why is that? Well, before we get into why it's the world's greatest hobby, let's look into a little bit of the history of model railroading. Model railroading in its modern sense really stretches all the way back into the 1840s, which is really when you get into your first toy trains, not too long after the original railroads were laid down. And these were carpet railroads, and I say railroads, they actually didn't have any track. They were little live steam, if you can believe it or not, little live steam locomotives that could run in a circle by turning their wheels so that they could run around in a circle. Now, the first documented model railroad was in 1859 for the then 3-year-old great-grandson of Napoleon. Now, it was clockwork powered, which basically means that it has a bunch of springs and mechanisms like a clock does that propelled it down the track. Now, the first mass-produced model train set was made by Marklin in Germany in 1891. And just a few short years later, Lionel was founded, and that is really when electric trains started to take off. Electricity hadn't been around that long, but electric trains were invented right around the turn of the century. And by the 1950s in the United States, model train sets and model railroads were the #1 toy for boys. Now, since the initial golden age of model railroading, it has become a super hobby, which there are very few hobbies like this that exist under a single name. You can have a lot of areas of interest with several different hobbies within them, but you really have very few that have just everything under a single area. And just to give you an idea of how big this hobby has become, between the NMRA, the NEM, Japanese, and other standard bearers, there have been in excess of 50 different scales of model trains throughout its history, running on various different gauges of track. Now, if you push model railroading to its maximum, it can include model building, artistic skills, carpentry, electrical work, computer programming, historical research, photography, videography, and many, many more. Model railroading is a family hobby. Its content is safe to share with children, except for maybe those little tiny parts. Its complexity can satisfy hobbyists of all ages. The nuances and necessary fine motor skills for parts of the hobby are a great way to keep your mind active, and it keeps you happier. Model railroading also has a massive community. I'm talking clubs, conventions, online forums, and Facebook groups. In just the past month, my channel alone has had viewers from 34 different countries. And that's not a brag, that's just showing you how much support is out there. So if you're looking for a hobby that is fun for the whole family, that has a lot of STEAM in it, that's science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and you want something that can be educational and really fun to do with your kids, model railroading is a great way to do it because they will learn a ton of things. Just right here, if you're talking about just what I've learned a lot about electrical work, I've learned a lot about carpentry, I have learned a lot about painting and artistry and all these different things. I've learned how to airbrush with this thing. I've learned so much by working on my model railroad, and there's so much more that you can learn. I get to exercise my passion for video, which is my professional career, and just show what I have right here. So model railroading can just encompass so much. It's a family-friendly hobby, and it has a massive community. These are really the pillars that that reputation as the world's greatest hobby stands on, in my opinion. So that's why I think model railroading is the world's greatest hobby. I know a lot of us think the same thing as well. I want to hear why you think the model railroading is the world's greatest hobby. Leave that in the comments below. In the meantime, let's get to some of the coffees that you guys are drinking. Ray Boble is drinking a Nantucket blend with sugar and cream. That sounds quite good. Dean Sims, who is new to the hobby, says that he likes Black Rifle Coffee Company, and he likes them because they are owned by veterans and first responders. We have a lot of Black Rifle Coffee Company fans in this community, including me. I've drank Black Rifle Coffee Company on this show. And Richard Coleman Jr. he says he has no real favorite coffee, but he's drinking Javalia Signature Blend and says that was okay for today. Any coffee is okay coffee. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for telling me the coffees that you guys are drinking. And I look forward to reading your comments on why you think that this is the world's greatest hobby. So make sure you leave those in the description below, or rather in the comment section below. And I also want to say a huge thank you to my patrons. They are listed right here. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. A lot of cool stuff going on over there. Models of the month, the $5 level. A lot of cool things that you can get there, including behind the scenes and advance notice of episodes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.